والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق وأعز المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما حجة ابن الحسن المهدي فداه أرواح العالمين صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله صلى الله عليك وعلى آلك الطيبين الطاهرين صلى الله عليك يا ابن رسول الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء فيا ليتنا يا ليتنا يا ليتنا يا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. قال الله تعالى في محكم كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما توفيقي إلا بالله عليه توكلت وإليه أنيب. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Among the greatest blessings Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can ever gift an individual is something called tawfiq. According to one narration, the Imam says, أَجَلُّ مَا يَنْزِلُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ التَّوْفِيقِ. The best thing that can come down from the skies, meaning that can come down from Allah to you, to us, is tawfiq. Surah Al-Baqarah, the biggest chapter in the Holy Quran, is named Al-Baqarah, is named the cow. There are wisdoms behind the namings of the surahs of the Holy Quran. Why was Surah Al-Baqarah named Al-Baqarah? Why was it named the cow? It goes back to a story, which I will cut short just to deliver the crux of the message. Basically, there were two people who wanted to marry a particular girl. They were cousins, according to a narration. One of them was pious, the other one was not so. Both of them happened to want to marry this particular girl. Eventually, the girl chose the pious child, the pious young man. They got married, life moved on, but the other man was so jealous and so angry, he eventually murdered the other man who married that young woman. He murdered him and he lay his body lying down, but nobody found out who was the killer of this person. The next day they find this dead corpse lying on the ground. Who committed this murder? Now, this was back during the time of Prophet Musa. During the time of Prophet Musa, there were a bunch of tribes. So the tribe that belonged to the person who was murdered and killed, they all got angry. You know, the tribal mentality, if you mess with one person of the tribe, it's as if you have messed with the entire tribe. So they were getting ready, they wanted to seek revenge on behalf of their slain member. A big fight was about to break out during the time of Prophet Musa, his community. So some people came to Prophet Musa and told him the situation, a big fight is going to break out and blood is going to be shed. What do we do? Help us solve this problem. So Prophet Musa raised his hands in dua and asked Allah to help us solve this problem. So the answer came down telling Prophet Musa, instruct the family of that person who was killed, instruct him and instruct the tribe to go find a cow, slaughter the cow, kill the cow, basically sacrifice it, then take its tail, strike it on the corpse of that murdered individual. He will come back to life and he will tell you who was his murderer, so you can seek justice for him. So Prophet Musa went and told the family of this individual to do what he was told to do. They asked him, well, what kind of a cow? Not just any cow. So that's a separate issue. Why are you objecting and asking for more details? He's just telling you, go find a cow, slaughter it, and do as you're told. But anyways, they asked him, well, describe the cow. We need to know, what color is it? He asked Allah, the answer came, it's yellow. Okay. They weren't sufficed. They asked him, well, how old is the cow? Again, he asked Allah, how old is the cow? The answer came, middle-aged, not young, not old. They kept on going back and forth with a series of questions. What type of cow, the color, the size. Eventually, it all boiled down to one particular cow in the community that had particular specifications and qualifications and descriptions. They asked around. Eventually they found out where this cow was. It belonged to a young man who lived in a very humble home. They went to him, they told him the situation. We need your cow. We need your cow, we need to buy it from you so we can solve a particular problem. The boy told him, I'm not willing to sell this cow. This is a special cow for me, okay? I'm not willing to sell it. They begged him, we'll give you anything you need, anything you ask for. Eventually, he succumbed to their wish, their desire, and he told them, I will sell it, but on one condition. Its weight in gold, take it, weigh it, and how much the value of this cow, its weight in gold, take it, that's what I want in return for my cow. So how much would that cost? Just as a mental exercise, a mathematical exercise. Well, an average cow would weigh around 1,500 pounds. And, well, how much does the gold in ounce cost today? Like just as an estimate. Anybody know how much gold in ounce? We need the sisters to help us with this one. About $3,000 for an ounce. And there are 16 ounces in 1 pound. So multiply that by the average weight of a cow, 1,500 pounds. So I did the math before coming here, and it turns out around $79–80 million. So back then, the equivalent. So it was a big sum of money. So eventually they had to pay that amount to purchase that cow from him, and they did as they were told. And eventually they solved the problem. But the point is, why did they end up going to him, this young man? And he ended up making a big fortune out of this whole deal. What's the story behind that? What's the significance behind the naming of this chapter, Surah Al-Baqarah? Is it just this story that he made a deal out of it? He made this profit? There's something deeper. There's something more deeper. So according to a narration, they say this young man was very dutiful to his parents, especially his father. He respected him and dignified him so greatly, it was unmatched during his time. One day, this young man was a businessman, or they had a family business. They had their own merchandise, their goods, and they would do business with it. They had their merchandise locked up in a shed where it was stored, and there came a caravan passing by their city wanting to do business with him. They wanted to strike a deal with him. But his merchandise, his goods were all locked up in a shed. So he told them, wait, let me go and unlock the shed for you so that we can do the deal. It turned out the shed was locked and the key was under the pillow where his father would take his afternoon nap. He went, he saw his father taking a nap. And he was basically debating what should he do. Should he wake up his father so he could get the key and make this deal or not? So he eventually went back to the people. He told them, I'm sorry, the shed is locked and I don't have the key. I can't make a deal with you. They weren't willing to wait much longer, so they passed on, they moved on, and he missed out on that big deal. Later, his father found out that his son wasn't willing to wake up his father from his short nap. He was willing to let his father sleep comfortably rather than waking him up over making that business deal and having to wake up his father. When his father found out how dutiful he was, how respectful he was, he made a dua for him. And this dua was eventually answered later on when they had to buy his cow so they can solve their problem. And he made a big fortune out of it. You see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewarded him for how dutiful he was to his parents. This is tawfiq. This young child, this young man, what he had was something we call tawfiq. It's the greatest blessing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can ever grant you. What is tawfiq? Tawfiq is basically, we can translate it as divine success, or when Allah backs you. Allah gives you divine backing. He puts you in the right place at the right time to do the right thing. That's what tawfiq is. When Allah puts you in the right place to do the right thing at the right time. And it is the greatest blessing Allah can ever give you. As the hadith says, أَجَلُّ مَا يَنْزِلُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ التَّوْفِيقِ. The greatest thing you can ever be given is tawfiq. And it's not something we can have complete control over. It's not hard work. Yes, hard work is part of it, but there are other factors that play a role. So it's a mix between our part, but that's not the whole picture. Allah also has to intervene. So, well, what gives tawfiq? That's the next question you would be asking. What are the factors that influence tawfiq? The first factor is sincerity. Being sincere in your intention. Any act that you do, no matter the size of it, it's small, it's large, but doing it with sincerity is what gives it value. مَا كَانَ لِلَّهِ يَنْمُو. Whatever is for Allah, even if it's small, it's going to grow, it's going to multiply, it's going to give fruit. But that's tawfiq. That is success. Just to illustrate this example with an analogy. Two young boys wanted to plant a tree. They both went to the market, purchased a seed to plant a particular tree, an apple tree. They did the same thing. Both boys bought a flower pot, filled it with dirt, and planted their seed. They both did the same exact thing, but separately. Eventually, when the trees grew, the first boy, when he would pick out the apples, every time he would pick one out and open it, he would find it being rotten and there's a worm inside, and it's not good. The other boy, every time he would pick an apple, it would be luscious, delicious, the healthiest it can be. So what was the reason in having a difference in such difference in the outcome? Turned out that the first boy, the one who had all of his fruits rotten and spoiled, his intention was he eventually wants to make a profit out of these fruits and have it all for himself. He had a selfish intention. The other boy, his intention, before even planting the seed, his intention in mind was to donate all of this for the sake of Allah. One was sincere, one was selfish. And look at the outcomes. It's just an analogy to illustrate the example of sincerity and how it leads to fruitful outcomes in your life. So number one is sincerity. Number two is avoiding sins. Any form of sin is detrimental. It's basically oppressing yourself when you sin. No matter what kind of a sin, even if it's a white lie, like they say, there's no such a thing as a white lie. A lie is a lie. When you're sharing inaccurate information on purpose, it's a problem. It's sinful. So what do sins do? Is it just something passing and you get it over with? No. According to one hadith, the outcomes of sins are so destructive they can prevent an opportunity waiting for you. An opportunity waiting for you, a job offer, a righteous spouse, any blessing, something you look forward to. But you sinned before that, Allah moved things around and deprived you from that blessing. To illustrate tawfiq, imagine this. Imagine one day you're a student just about to graduate and you're looking for a job. And one day you decide on a weekend to go to a nearby coffee shop and study or do some work on the computer. As you're sitting, it happens so that someone comes and sits next to you, starts to have a conversation with you. It turns out he's a hiring manager of a particular company that you would want to work for. You have a conversation with him, he likes your personality, and right on the spot offers you a job offer, leading you to your dream job. Why did you decide to go to that particular coffee shop? Had you gone to another coffee shop, you wouldn't have met him. Why did you decide to go on that particular time, say at 10 a.m. in the morning? Had you gone 1 hour later, 1 hour before, you wouldn't have met this person. He wouldn't have seen you. Why did you decide to sit on that particular table? Had you sat in the corner, he would have missed you. That conversation would never have taken place. And that job offer would have never been yours. You decided to go at that particular coffee shop, that particular time, sat in that place. And eventually you got the job that you wished for. That is tawfiq. Allah puts you in the right place and at the right time, at the right moment, and you did the right thing. Had a person, for example, sinned the day before, looked at something haram, hurt someone's feelings, did something, any sin, Allah may have moved things around, causing him, for example, to go to another coffee shop and he would miss that opportunity. According to the hadith, a sin will deprive you from a particular blessing, an opportunity. So that's the other factor, avoiding sins. Just in parentheses, Ayatollah Bahjat, a Arif, a great scholar, a revered scholar who has passed away, rahmatullah alayh. People would come and ask him for advice, coming from long distances, asking him to bless them with something that they can take back home, a maw'idah, an admonishment. And he would just say something so simple, like, don't sin. They would be astonished. I've come far distance for you just to share this advice. Yeah, it has weight. It is a key amongst the keys of tawfiq. Divine backing, the greatest blessing Allah can ever endow you with. So number one, we said sincerity, being sincere in your actions. And number two, avoiding sins. And number three, which is perhaps the greatest key to success, to tawfiq in life, and that is your relationship with your parents, being good to your parents. Like we said, Surah Al-Baqarah, the greatest chapter of the Holy Quran, the longest chapter of the Holy Quran, according to a narration, says that the naming of this chapter was because of a story that had to do with someone who was good to his parents, who was good to his father. This is like one of the principles in life. Just like an equation, input this, you get this output. The equation of gravity, the equation of density. Khalas, it's a principle, a fixed principle. This is how it works. Density is equal to mass over mass divided by volume. It's a fixed principle. You do this, you get this. Same thing when it comes to success, true success in life. Being good to your parents will give you true success in life. Not being good to your parents in life, you will not have true success in life, no matter what. Well, you might object and say, well, look at this person. He's living the life, he's rich, he has everything he could possibly ask for, but I know he's not good to his parents. So what's going on? Don't be deceived by the outside appearance. This might be something temporary. Or this could actually be a curse for him. He might be distracted, he might not even be enjoying it. Is that really success? True success in life is quality of life. You enjoy life. You eventually are led to a good ending, husn al-aqibah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses you with a righteous ending to your life. Your life ends on the path of Allah, on the path of the Ahlul Bayt. That is true success. What matters is how it ends. And how it ends is not a coincidence. It's a sum of all of your life's actions, your decisions in life. They ultimately decide the outcome, the ending. So being good to your parents. Once there's this story narrated. A young man came home very late at night. He had a long day, a tiring day. He was just ready to go and crash in bed and sleep. As he was approaching his bedroom, he overheard in the other room his father coughing. And he could tell his father was very uncomfortable by the way he was coughing. So basically a dilemma was like a battle in his mind. What should I do? Should I just wait till the morning and go to my father, or should I see what my father needs right now? He was very tired, so he was being pulled on one end to his bedroom and on the other end to go help his father. He eventually went to his father, saw what he needed. He went to the kitchen, made him something to drink, an herbal tea or something to soothe his cough. And he went to his bedroom. As he was walking, he heard his father making a short dua. He heard him murmuring something. He says, at that moment when my father made that dua, I suddenly had this burst, this jolt of energy to pray Salatul Layl. And I prayed that Salatul Layl despite how tired I was, and it was the most beautiful salat I ever prayed. And since that day, 20 years straight, I never missed a single Salatul Layl. Because of that one dua his father made at that moment. That is tawfiq. When praying Salatul Layl is tawfiq from Allah. So that is perhaps one of the greatest keys to true success in life, being good to your parents. A story that is usually mentioned could be a figurative story, a symbolic story. Once there was this child in school, and every time his mother drops him off at school, he rushes quickly to class, hoping nobody sees him. Now, a little bit strange, but what was the reason why? They would see him, like, as soon as he comes out of the car, he's trying to like block himself from other people noticing him. He just quickly rushes to school. His mother had an abnormal eye, a disfigured eye. She only had one eye. The other eye looked disfigured. He didn't want his friends to notice who his mother was because he knew they're going to start making fun of him. They're going to start picking on him. One day he forgets his lunchbox at home. And naturally his mother sees his lunchbox. He left it at home, so she decides to go back to school to give it to him. He's in his classroom, in the middle of class. Suddenly he sees his mom coming in from the front door. She asks for permission. She enters, holding his lunchbox. She comes to him. By his desk, she places the lunchbox. He has his head lowered down. His face is red. Embarrassed. He's like, now everybody knows who my mother is. He feels so ashamed. He goes back home and starts yelling at his mother for coming to school and embarrassing him, saying that despite how many times I told you not to come to school, and you came to school. So he yelled at his mother, he rebuked her. She didn't say a word. That boy worked hard in school, having a goal in mind that he wants to move out and never see his mother again. Over the years, he graduated, he finished, he got a job, and he moved out. And he never looked back at his mother because of how angry he was. So eventually, after many years, his mom missed him. She wants to see her son. So she finds out where his address is. She goes to him and visits him. She knocks on the door, and he doesn't answer. He peeks through the window. He sees it's his mother. He doesn't answer. She knocks again. She waits. No answer. So eventually she left. After a couple of years, he decides to go back to his hometown to check on his neighborhood, on his friends, his relatives. So as he goes and checks on his friends, checks on his high school where he went to school, his alma mater, something comes to mind. He's like, maybe I should go back and check on my mom. So he goes. He goes to the house, his childhood house, where his mother lives. He knocks on the door. She doesn't answer. Nobody answers. He knocks again. No answer. He goes to the neighboring house. He knocks on the door. They open. He asks them, that person who used to live here, do you know anything about them? Are they out? Are they traveling? The owner of that house lowers their head and tells them, this person has passed away many years ago. You're so late. But the person who used to live in this house left a letter for a person. One day, if this person comes and knocks on my door, I want you to give this letter to him. And that's what the neighbor did. They handed him the letter. He opened it, he read it. And so it started saying, my dear son, please forgive me for the trouble I have caused you. When you were in school, I made you feel embarrassed. Please forgive me for that. And when I went one day to your home to visit you, I think I may have caused you more trouble. Forgive me for also bothering you. But I want you to know one thing. I want you to know one thing. You, when you were young, you got into an accident and you lost your eye. I did not want you to grow up having a disfigured eye and you being picked on by your friends at school and being bullied. So I decided to give you my own eye. And that's why I have a disfigured eye, because I gave you my own eye. But I never told you about it. I never wanted you to feel like I did this to myself for you. Imagine now how he felt. Imagine now how he felt. The reason why his mother had a disfigured eye was because she gave him her own. Being good to our parents doesn't end when doesn't stop only during their lifetime. Being good to our parents must also extend after their lifetime. A narration says that the one who is good to his parents in this world, but as soon as they pass away, you forget about them, Allah will resurrect you on the Day of Judgment as if you had never done good to your parents. You were aaq to your parents. You were undutiful to your parents. And vice versa, a person who was undutiful to his parents in this world, during their lifetime, but as soon as they passed away, you started doing good deeds to them, praying for them, never forgetting them. Allah will resurrect you on the Day of Judgment as if you were dutiful to your parents, as if you were good to your parents. Being dutiful to our parents is one of the keys to success, the greatest keys to success in this world and the next. Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, never forgot about his father in his life, and after his father was massacred and martyred, Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam never forgot about his father after Karbala. They would see him every time he wanted to eat or drink something. They see his tears rolling, weeping. And they told him, isn't it enough? It's been years after the tragedy, the massacre of Karbala. Isn't it enough? And so he rebuked them. He told them, he reminded them how his father was killed mercilessly, made thirsty, exhausted, and slaughtered whilst thirsty. Imam Zayn al-Abidin never forgot about his father after Karbala. Every time he drank something or ate something, his tears mixed with that which he wanted to eat or drink, and remembered his father. How could anybody blame him? Imam Zayn al-Abidin saw everything in front of him, saw everything unfold in front of his eyes. All of the scenes were still fresh in his mind after all of the companions were martyred. Ali al-Akbar was martyred, Al-Abbas was martyred. Imam Zayn al-Abidin saw how his father, Imam al-Hussein, looked at the world around him, distressed with a heavy heart, betrayed by everybody around him, hopeless from the world around him. Nobody ever wanted to help. Nobody ever wanted to sacrifice besides the companions in the family of Hussein. Imam Zayn al-Abidin remembers his father calling out, "Is there anybody? Is there anyone to help us? Is there anyone to protect the family of Rasulullah?" Imagine Imam Zayn al-Abidin, how he must have felt when he heard the cry of his father. He tried to get up, but his illness grew more severe. Imagine how much pain that must have caused him. Wanting to defend his father, but he can't. But among the most difficult moments was when Imam al-Hussein wanted to bid his family the final farewell. A man by the name of Ubaydullah ibn al-Hurr al-Ju'fi, he was a man who Imam al-Hussein encountered on his way towards Kufa before Karbala. Imam al-Hussein sent him a messenger inviting him to join them, but he wouldn't comply. So the Imam himself went towards him. The Imam told him, inviting him to join his caravan, but he ended up refusing And he told Imam al-Hussein, instead, I have a horse, I have a sword, I have some gold coins. I'd like to donate them to you. But I can't join you right now. I have other commitments. Imam al-Hussein told him, we don't need any of your money or donations. Imam al-Hussein wanted his soul. But I want to draw your attention to something that this man had said later on, something that he narrates later on when he encountered Imam al-Hussein, when he saw him. He says, my heart has never broken for anybody or anything the way it broke for Imam al-Hussein as I saw him approaching me. Why? Because I saw Hussein all alone, surrounded by his little girls and children. Imagine the girls, they never left Imam al-Hussein, his young daughters. Remember, these girls were traveling, they were strangers in the desert, they weren't home, they weren't in their home city. Also, when the news reached the caravan of Imam al-Hussein that Muslim ibn Aqil has been martyred, has been killed, the young daughters of Imam al-Hussein started to see the numbers of his followers started to decrease. They started to leave, they started to abandon him. So Ubaydullah narrates, they started to hang on him wherever he went. Among his daughters, that was most special to Imam al-Hussein was Sakina. When Imam al-Hussein wanted to bear his family the final farewell, he came to Zainab, he came to his children, he bid everyone farewell. But there was someone missing. Imam al-Hussein walked around the tents, searching for her, calling her name, Sakina, where are you? Eventually, he found her sitting down behind one of the tents crying. A young girl, but she knew what was happening. She knew there was something that wasn't right. Imagine Imam al-Hussein wanting to bid his family farewell, and he sees this scene. His young daughter, baby Sakina, who was so dear to him, sitting all alone crying. How heavy was this on the heart of Imam al-Hussein when he wanted to depart and leave? Her uncle Abbas was killed. Her brother Ali al-Akbar was killed. Her young baby brother Al-Tifl al-Radiya was also massacred. She knew that it was now time for Imam al-Hussein, her father, to leave. So her father knelt down and bid her farewell. How difficult were these moments? Some narrations say when the family of Hussein were being taken captives towards Kufa, then towards Sham, whenever they would stop, they would plant the spears that were holding the heads of the martyrs of Karbala, that were holding the heads of Imam al-Hussein and the companions. They would plant these spears into the ground whenever they wanted to rest for a little bit before they moved on. In one of the occasions when they wanted to stop for a short while to rest, they planted the spear of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam into the ground. When they were getting ready to move, they tried to pick up the spear, but it wouldn't move. Something was strange. They tried to move the spear, they tried to pick it up from the ground, but it wouldn't move. They looked at Imam Zayn al-Abidin and asked him about the matter. He told them that the daughter of Hussein, Sakina, is missing. Someone go search for her because the head of Imam al-Hussein will not move unless she is with them. They asked Imam Zayn al-Abidin, how can we find her? What should we do? Imam Zayn al-Abidin told them to look at the blessed head of Imam al-Hussein and follow his eyes. Wherever his eyes are pointing, that's where his daughter Sakina is. Eventually, when they were in Sham on one of the nights, the family of Hussein was sleeping in the middle of the night, and suddenly Sakina wakes up and starts crying and calling for her father. She wanted her father. She had just seen him in his dream. She wanted to see her father. They asked her what the matter was. She said that she saw her father Al-Hussein in the dream telling her, "Come to me, come to me." Yazid overheard the commotion that was taking place, and he ordered his guards to silence them. The guards came holding a bowl with a cover, and they came and brought the bowl with the cover to Sakina. She lifted the cover and saw her father's blessed head, filled with scars and bruises and blood, drenching his beard. She took a step back and said, "My father, who did this to you? Who made me an orphan at such a young age? Who drenched your beard with your blessed blood?" She took a deep breath and fell to the ground and left this world. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un wa say'alamu alladhina zalamu ala Muhammadin ayya munqalibin yanqalibun wal 'aqibatu lil muttaqin. Let's raise our hands in du'as and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the gate of Imam Zain al-Abidin to forgive our sins, to forgive our loved ones who have departed, to give us husn al-aqibah, and most importantly, to hasten the reappearance of our awaited Savior, Imam Al-Mahdi Ajjallahu ta'ala farajah, and to make us all amongst His sincere and dedicated servants. To all of our marhumeen, let's gift them the reward of Surah Al-Mubarakah Al-Fatiha.